Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the Spanish Written Exam webinar. Before we get started, we'd like to just introduce you to the software platform that we're using to host today's session. You do have a couple of options to interact with both of us throughout the webinar today. First is by raising your hand as indicated by the hand icon off to the left. More importantly, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those right in the box below. Those only are visible to us staff and not to other students. So definitely if you have a question about your course or your program, you can certainly put it in there as well. Bienvenidos a Español. Welcome to Spanish. My name is Zach. I'm the person on the left-hand side of your screen. I am one of the Spanish instructors here at Penn Foster, along with Dan Chirillo, who is with us to answer your questions via chat. You do have a variety of ways to get in contact with both of us here at Penn Foster. Email and chat options are available through the Help and Support Center on your student portal. You may also call us between 9 and 6 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, at 1-888-427-1000. You'll just be asked to enter in your student ID number as well as selecting option 5. And finally, if you have a quick question about your course and need a quick answer, you can text us during normal business hours using the word LEARN to 39033. Today's webinar is being recorded for your convenience. You should all receive a copy after the webinar has concluded today to view back as needed as many times as necessary. Also, anyone that is not able to join us live will receive today's session. So before we get started, we'd like to just take a brief poll, and we're just interested if you have taken a foreign language before. So if you don't mind, just answer the question on your screen, yes or no, right now. Thanks to everyone that voted. Looks like everyone here has studied a foreign language. We hope it was Spanish, but definitely if it was something else, we hope your experience with the course will be beneficial to your learning. On today's objectives, we are going to describe each of the Spanish written exams in your course. We'll talk about where to locate project instructions and audio selections. Also how to upload assignments, reasons for a returned assignment, anything and everything you need to know about plagiarism. And finally, we'll list some tips for success that we think will help you out. So let's get started with Spanish written exams. There are a total of 5 written exams in your course here at Penn Foster, and they are represented by the numbers listed on the right-hand side of your screen. The reason there are 2 different sets of numbers is just depending on the time of your enrollment. The exams may appear similar to other versions, but they might necessarily not be identical. So very important that you are, referencing your online material only as you complete the written exams. So the first exam we'll talk about would be exam 4. And exam 4 is a 3-part exam. In part 1, this is titled the error detection. We are here correcting errors in Spanish so that they translate to the English sentence supplied. So again, you'll be rewriting sentences correctly in Spanish. Now, if you don't know too much about the grammar just yet, this may not make some sense, but for anybody that has studied a foreign language, including Spanish, this may definitely make some sense. In the example sentence, él están jugando baseball, the first word él, this means he in Spanish, a pronoun. However, we have a plural verb, and we cannot have a singular subject with a plural verb. They must agree in number. So in this case, all we're doing is changing están to está, which is the singularized version, so that it agrees. In the next part, math completion, you will be solving math problems and writing your answer in Spanish words. So an example of that is uno times uno. We know that's 1 times 1 equals 1, obviously. Your answer would be uno. So important here that you're writing out the number in word format. You're not just writing the number 1 or the number in English. And finally, part 3 is reading comprehension. You'll be reading through a short paragraph in Spanish and then answering questions in English that correspond to that story. And we're just going to take a brief moment after each exam to definitely go over any questions. So again, please use that chat feature, I should say the questions feature on your GoToWebinar platform there to ask any questions as we're going along. Moving on to the next exam would be exam 6. Exam 6 is a 4-part exam. In the first section, you are matching images with commands. Exam 6 is an exam that heavily focuses on verb conjugation. This term may be definitely unfamiliar to many of you, but the idea is that verbs and subjects are linked according to person and according to number and tense. So you basically need to have a verb form, again, that corresponds with the subject. So in part 2, you have irregular verbs, verbs that don't always follow the pattern of a verb conjugation, and you'll be conjugating them in the simple present tense. An example of this is salir, and the form salir means just to leave. It's the infinitive. We provide you here with the pronouns, eos or eas. This would be third person plural, they. And then all you're doing is coming up with how to say they leave in Spanish. So that answer would be salen. In part 3 is pretty similar. Here, though, you're only dealing with 2 different verbs, the verbs to know, which are saber or conocer, and they are used differently depending on context. So if you're using saber, you know something for a fact or something that's definite, versus conocer is more of an acquaintance verb. You know, if you maybe just met a person, asking someone else if they know someone, for example, you use conocer. So in this sentence here, Anna blank many things. In this case, she knows it for certain. She knows these many things. So we're using saber, but again, remember we have to come up here with Anna knows. So that answer would be sabe. And as you close out the exam, you have reading comprehension again. This time, though, you're determining if statements are true or false. And anytime you do have a false answer, you want to make it true in English. Again, we'll take a brief pause here. Please ask any questions about exam 6 now. All right, the next exam we'll talk about today would be exam 8. And exam 8 starts with translation, sentences from English to Spanish. So an example here, in English, he runs to the grandma's house. And your answer is él corre a la casa de la abuelita. And then part 3 is just the opposite. You'll be translating sentences from Spanish to English. So an example of one of those, pon tu lápiz aquí in Spanish means put your pencil here in English. Now, depending on the time of your enrollment, you may see one of two possibilities for part 4. The first option would be filling in missing words in a Spanish passage based on what you're hearing. We'll talk about where to locate audio later on in the webinar today, but for the purposes of right now, you can just take down this will be on tape 4L, listening comprehension, side A, starting around 2 minutes and 30 seconds, ending around a minute later. And the passage will start with the two words en la. Now, if you don't happen to see an audio section, you may see this alternate part 4, and we just ask that you please follow specific directions on your exam for completing this section. Next exam, exam number 10, is a 3-part exam. The first section asks you again to translate sentences from English to Spanish. So here we just provide you another example sentence. Part 2 is translation the opposite way, Spanish to English, although this time it's not full-on sentences. Instead, you are just translating single words. In this case, mucho in Spanish, that means many or much in English. And then for the part 3, listening comprehension, this is for everybody. You will be listening to and writing 2 poems in Spanish. And the titles of those 2 poems are No sé qué te diera, which means I don't know what I would give, and Veo la luna, I see the moon. Again, I don't know what I would give you, and I see the moon. Tape 4L, listening comprehension, side A. Again, about a minute long, from 9 to 10 minutes. And then our final exam. Exam number 12 is a 2-part exam. Part 1 is translation. Yes, translation, once again, English to Spanish sentences. And part 2 is listening comprehension again. This time, though, you'll be listening to a longer story in Spanish, and then you will be writing an English summary of 10 to 20 sentences in your own words. Now, you do have a choice of which story you would like to listen to for the exam. The first option is called Papá siempre tiene la razón. Father always has a reason. This story can be found on tape 4L, side B, from around 3:30 on the time up to 15 minutes. Alternatively, you can listen to Serko, an old Ukrainian tale, found on tape 4L, side A, 13 to 21 minutes. Now, please note you just need to do one. It is a summary, it's not a translation, so we're not looking for you to write down every single word that you heard. Rather, though, come up with a general overview of the events, capturing as much as you can. Finally, this must be in your own words. We will talk about plagiarism later on, but we are aware that, some of this material is common knowledge. It's been around for some time, and online versions of things do exist. Definitely, we take plagiarism seriously, and we'll talk about what can happen if your exam is found to be plagiarized later on. So the next section of today's webinar is where to find project instructions and audio. But again, we're going to pause one more time. Please ask any and all questions about the written assignments. Again, exams 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12 in your questions box now. Depending on the time of your enrollment with Penn Foster High School, your portal may look differently. So the first example we're going to show you here is someone that's enrolled a little bit earlier into our program, and we're just going to show you a couple of buttons and what they do. So in this example 1, we have Exam 8 Spanish, and the first thing you'll see is that study unit. The study unit is where all of your reading material will be for the lesson. The audio button that's right below it, and I'm sorry I don't have an arrow pointing to it, but this tape 4 side B, this tape will always reflect the study unit material. So basically you have a study unit and it corresponds with a tape. The other 2 tapes, the tape 4L listening comprehension, either side A or B, reflects only the exam portion for your course. So it's very important to draw a distinction between a regular tape and then this listening comprehension tape that you see. If you're ever confused on when working on the exam to which audio corresponds with which exam, you can look at the supplement at the very bottom of your course page, here called the clarification audio sections document. You can click on that study guide to get a list of all the audio stories. The second example here is for students that have enrolled more recently into the high school program. And it's just a different layout. It's the same information, just organized in a different way. Again, the first assignment that you see here is your Spanish study unit. Again, where all of your lesson material is. Audio tape 4. Again, this is reflecting the study unit audio. Next, you have the pictograph flashcards, help you out with your vocabulary. The fourth assignment on this page is project instructions, and this is where you'll find information about your exam. And then the page ends with the 2 listening comprehension tapes, either side A or side B, again, reflecting only the exam audio. So just as a further screenshot, when you do click on the project instructions tab, this will be the page that comes up for you. And at the top, it'll give you a reminder about the audio, of which audio to listen to for the exam. It will give you uploading instructions, how to submit your file for grading. And then at the very bottom, you can click to view the PDF file, which is your list of questions. As a heads up, it's always good to consult the instructors if you're ever unsure of which audio or unsure of how to complete an exam due to multiple factors. So, definitely if you're ever concerned, please call us. We want to help you succeed with your exams. We want you to do the best you can. So we're here to help you out. Next, we'll go into how to upload written assignments at Penn Foster or any other submission options if you desire. So similar to other written exams at the high school, you may type your responses on a word processor such as Microsoft Word. If you don't have access to Microsoft Word, you can definitely use WordPad, Google Docs. There's other programs out there. But you definitely just want to upload it on the Take Exam page, again, following those instructions. Worst case scenario, if you don't have access to an electronic submission method, you can fax or mail a handwritten exam even as an alternate method. And our fax number is listed here on your screen, 570-961-4038. Very important that you put your student ID number as well as attention Spanish on it so that we can identify it your exam. And as a final option, you can send your exam to us via U.S. mail. Penn Foster, again, attention Spanish, 925 Oak Street in Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18515. We'll leave this up here just a moment if you're copying that down. So next, to check on the status of your written assignment, to check if it was received, returned, or graded, you can consult your grades page on your student portal. And you'll see a couple of abbreviations listed below. We'll go over with what each one means here. First option, RCD. This means your assignment was received for grading. Definitely just takes us a few days to review your written assignments due to the number of students in the program. So we do ask for your patience. Second option is RTN. This means your assignment was returned ungraded to you for revision. This means that possibly you were missing a section or you didn't do the correct audio portion, etc. You may see your exam returned. And then finally, if you see a numerical grade, as long as it's passing, which is 65 in the program, you are completed with your written assignment. Otherwise, you will need to resubmit. So talk briefly about why exams can be returned ungraded. I mentioned these a little bit before. If you don't follow directions in a specific section, if it asks you to write something in Spanish and you write it in English or vice versa, if you don't complete the entire exam, if you do the wrong audio, or if you just submit the wrong document, these could result in your exam being returned to you. Now, we do put an instructor feedback file on your student portal, in your case for your return. Very important that you look at that. Very informative document that gives you the steps needed to resubmit your assignment. So how would you locate this instructor feedback file? Pretty straightforward. There is a button that says View Project next to your assignment, or it might even say View Feedback. So when you click on this View Project, View Feedback button, you'll be presented with the box here below. So you'll see the lesson number, you'll have your submitted project that you sent us for grading, and then you can see the instructor feedback. Just click Download File to view that. Like I said, very informative document that we put together for every paper that comes into us. Even if you had your paper passed, you got a 74, for example, I know I would still be liking to know what I got wrong. So, you can see that. Next, we talk about the dreaded concept of plagiarism. And plagiarism is very important to remember with all of your Penn Foster courses. But in Spanish, you do not want to use a language translator like translate.com. Google Translate is probably the most common one, or provide us any answers obtained online. So we are good at identifying these answers when they come in, and this will not result in your exam being finalized. There will be more work that's required for you as a student. So going along this, what happens? if your exam is plagiarized. On the original submission, your exam will receive the grade of 1%, and it will require you to complete a retake. So long as you complete the retake in your own words and it's graded, you're done with the assignment. However, if you then submit a retake exam that's plagiarized, you're going to receive another 1% grade, and now you will be required to complete an alternate paper exam by mail. So long as you complete the paper exam in your own words, you are again done. However, if the paper exam is plagiarized, further disciplinary action will be taken up to and including termination. So please don't think just because Spanish is my last course, and I've worked throughout this entire high school program, that just because I cheat in Spanish, I'll get away with it, because it won't be the case. We do take it very seriously. We are an accredited high school program, so we do have to ensure that students are doing their own work as they're going along. So, how can you avoid plagiarism in Spanish? The first one is pretty obvious here, but just to use your own words on written exams. For us, it's far better to submit something that may be incorrect or partially wrong than to use information found online. You don't have to consult any online sources to complete these exams. Everything you need to know can be found back in your study material from Penn Foster. And finally, we'll end on a good positive note: how to succeed in your Spanish course. Please take your time. This is definitely a longer course than you may be accustomed to doing, and learning a second language on your own is a difficult thing. So it will take thorough time preparation for you as a student. Please do not search the internet if I've not made that abundantly clear in today's session. Again, it does result in more work for you, and it could result in disciplinary action, multiple counts. Finally, ask any questions you have throughout your course. Better to ask questions as you're going along if something doesn't make sense, rather than it to continue not making sense. You get to lesson 10, for example, and you don't understand something from lesson 4, it's not going to be a good scenario. So please ask those questions in whatever means you find most comfortable. As we finish up today, Dan and I will take your preguntas, questions. You may ask those now in the question area. If you don't have time to stick around, please use one of the contact options listed on your screen once again. And we both wish you buena suerte en español, good luck in Spanish, and have a great day.